Hey, hey, hey! My name is Mark, and welcome in. This is the first of our webinar series. It's actually called Versus. It's a series we're going to do. And what we're doing today is we are actually going to be able to hang on. Of our webinar series. It's actually called Versus. It's a series we're going to do. And there we are. Yay. That's one of the things. Yeah, we get gremlins. It always happens. But that's one of those things that we're going to be working with throughout this series. Is we're going to be putting different programs, different tools that we use in ministry. We're going to be putting them up against each other as we try to figure out what's the best fit for your church. If your church is trying to figure out the best way to do things, we're going to help you figure out, which is the best path to go. Now, in a lot of these instances, it's really going to be a preference-based thing. If you think back a few years ago, we had this crazy debate back and forth. I'm talking like 90s and around then. But we had this debate back and forth. Well, who was better, Windows or Macintosh? And at that time, people were going all in out about, hardware, software. Windows plays more games, but Mac tended to be where the creatives lived, and it was this weird back and forth. And it came down to what they called the megahertz myth, where megahertz meant one thing on one platform, meant something completely different on a different platform. But at this point, both machines have kind of come into their own, and they don't go after each other as much. Now it's basically a preference thing, and that's where a lot of these debates go back and forth. So let's dive right in. Today, as we've discussed, our first big versus match is between two absolute titans in the church communications arena, Canva versus Adobe Express. Now, if you are a starting out communications person, maybe you're a one-person department that doesn't really have any help. Maybe you're in one of these situations where, you've got a small church, there are two employees, one's the pastor, or maybe you're the pastor, the church secretary, the handyman, the groundskeeper, and everything else. These are tools to help you in that arena, because a lot of times the person that's doing these jobs is also doing, like I said, 8 other jobs, and doesn't have time to learn things like Photoshop, doesn't have time to learn things like Premiere or DaVinci or Final Cut Pro. You need something down and dirty that you can jump in, knock it out, and go with. And that's mainly what a lot of these tools are about. Now, I made the mistake a couple days ago of jumping on Reddit and doing a search for Canva versus Adobe Express. And a lot of people will say that Twitter is kind of the dumpster fire of the internet. Reddit lit the fire. The Twitter dumpster was fed by a fire started over on Reddit. So I found a Reddit conversation comparing Canva to Adobe Express. And the initial question was, I recently downloaded Adobe Express to try it out. And to me, it was like Canva, but with a little more dignity. I liked that the interface was similar to Lightroom, so it felt pretty easy to figure out. I only use Canva or Express for cranking out social media posts, but was curious if anyone has had more extensive use with both. Do you think one has a better stock photo clip art library than the other? And the comments, it's an honest question, it really is, but the comments, they got a little toxic, guys. Said, I have an irrational hatred for Canva, therefore I don't even consider it a valid design tool. Another comment said, I was the same way, absolutely refused to work in Canva, but our team is super short-staffed, and we had no choice but to go in and set up templates that junior designers and social media people could go in and crank out posts and leave the designers to work on bigger initiatives. The next person, would I use it for actual day-to-day work? No. Is it fine for setting up simple templates for folks so I don't have to waste my time on repetitive, simple? Absolutely. My big thing is there is this weird, I guess, nose turn up in the graphic design community for programs like Canva or for Adobe Express. And I tell you, don't listen to those people. A lot of them are folks that are just are either at a point in their career where all they're doing is focusing on graphics. And if you are at that point, then yes, it maybe learn Illustrator, learn Photoshop. But on the local church level, you need something that's going to get you in, get you done, and get you out the door to go on to the next chore in your 19,000 item to do list. So that's what these are doing. So before I go any further, let me go ahead and we will jump on and look at Canva. Now, when you log into Canva, this is what you end up seeing. Something like this. You end up seeing a menu across the top. You see a menu down the side. It says Mark's team of one, because most churches, one person. And what will you design today? Now, one thing I can tell you about Canva is overall, Canva, between the two, tends to be leaning a little bit more toward the new user. There's a simplicity to it. There's kind of a business user mentality, meaning we get in, we get out, we're not looking to change a lot of stuff. And because of that, Canva has a lot of templates. They are really proud of their templates. And the criticism I would have there is a lot of times you can tell a Canva template. You can really tell, oh, it has a look to it. It has maybe the font rendering. You can tell when someone has used the template from Canva much more than Adobe Express. Um, I don't know. I can't put my finger on why that is, but you can always tell. That may not matter to you. It might be fine. It might be just, hey, it's better than something I would put together in Word. And you are right. You know, something is way better than nothing. So let's look over here. These are a bunch of different size templates you can use here. You can Instagram post, and it's got the 1080 by 1080 presentation, whiteboard, documentary, or I'm sorry, documents. And you can choose between presentations or social media focused or print products, websites. We'll get to these printables here in just a little bit. But I can tell you that they largely lean toward getting you in and having a very small learning curve, especially Canva. Canva wants you to get in and get your stuff done. Um, I can tell you that both of these programs are extremely good at working with Photoshop files. So if someone gives you a layered out PSD file, you can open it in Canva, you can open it in Adobe Express. That's not a big deal. So I come over here, I open up one of our graphics here. I'm just going to show you a little thing about how this works here. So this is one of our designs from Church Visuals, and you just import it directly into Canva, upload your file, it comes in like this, and you can go through and you can change your name. Let's change it to First Church of Clay. That's a small town here in Alabama where I'm from. And you want to object? All you do is really is double click these things. Service times. Um, well, not 6. Golly. Let's say 9:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. There. So there you go. Very easy to fix. Very easy to add things to. Um, if you need to add something else, maybe you want to add a logo or something like that. There's an actual, as part of your account, you can set up a brand kit where it allows you to pick your different colors that go with your logo. You can upload your logo. And when you do that, it allows a lot of different options for overlays and watermarks and that sort of stuff. So it's really good. You can choose your fonts. Say I want to change this over to Anton, or maybe I want to be a little more frou-frou. Let's do everyone's favorite Comic Sans. Yay! But yeah, these are, it's all very, very easy to do this. And there's all kinds of different effects you can add. There's all kinds of different animations you can add. You can fade things in. And maybe you're wanting to do this as part of an export, like a video that would come up in your rotation in your scroll before a pre-service or something like that. So very easy to do. Let's go ahead and remove this animation. So I'll say this. Let's swap over here and look at our buddy Adobe Express. Now, full disclosure here is that Adobe Express is something that I use almost on a daily basis. Now, I know Photoshop, I know Illustrator, I know InDesign, all that, but for something quick and dirty, I just need to get a quick social media post out, I will come over here to Adobe Express. And that's mainly because I got it as part of the complete Adobe package, and it was just the tool that I had. I do know if you get Adobe Express, you also get, you end up also getting the Adobe Premiere Rush program and Photoshop Express. So, and those are two kind of stripped down versions of their big brand maker plans. But when it comes down to it, yeah, when it comes down to it, they're okay to have. I don't think those should be selling points for you by any chance, but I think it's kind of easy. Now, just like Canva, you have different options here. You have options for social media. You have video. You have photo, document, marketing. Both have AI functions that we'll talk about in a little bit. It lets you set up the different size profiles if you need. Instagram, a flyer, an Instagram story, TikTok video, a logo, Facebook post, Instagram reel, posters, thumbnails for YouTube, and YouTube videos. So, same sort of situation. Well, once again, we'll open up that same graphic and we'll change it out a little bit. Let's say, let's just pick a church name. We'll go with Faith Church Albertville. I don't know that that's a church that actually exists, but you know what? We'll go with it. Yeah. So we bring it over here. Double click here. And over at good old Faith Church Albertville, they're late risers. They'll say 11 a.m. for their service time, and they'll have an evening service at 5 p.m. They want to consolidate. So easy, super easy to check out. Okay, one thing I do want to point out to you though is, remember I mentioned that we had more of a feel of beginner level with Canva. Over here with Adobe Express, there's more of a feel of a creative, a designer. Canva has way more templates, but Adobe Express has more customization options. So if you're someone who always finds yourself tweaking a lot of things, you don't want it to look exactly like everything else out there, Express may be the way to go. It might fit your uses a little bit better. So let's go back into this. And one example of that is over here on the side here, where it's got the whole thing layered out. Now, you Photoshop folks out there, you know what layers, what the advantage of having access to those layers is. You can do it in Canva, but it took me forever to find where to do that. You have to go through two different sub-menus to get to show layers and work with layers. Here over in Express, it's right here on the side. And you've got all your designs. It gives you recommended designs for fonts, recommended designs for this and that. But yeah, you take one of our church visuals, ready-made graphics, and you can actually easily manipulate those to work with your brand. It's pretty cool. It really is, and I'm pretty excited about how it all works together because you can also export into all the different all of the different formats. Now, with that, I will give you another little caveat here. Now that we've seen the different layouts, the different sorts of ways of working with things, I can tell you that there are different options with these programs. Um, Canva actually has a downloadable desktop app. I'm using both of these in the browser, and that's fine. The restriction here is that Adobe Express is only a browser oriented program. Everything has to be uploaded, and yeah. Uh, Canva has a downloadable desktop app, like a program that it works with. They both have mobile options that you can use, on your phone here. Um, I find myself using the mobile app every once in a while with Express, but you're never going to do anything in depth there. It's not very intuitive. You always feel like, I wish I could get more into this. Um, but I can say that the mobile app on Canva is a lot closer to their desktop function. But both are fine. Both really are fine. I've talked about branding a little bit. Both offer ways to do that where it keeps you on track, keeps your color palette going, keeps the recommended colors in a specific thing. So like things like I don't know, this right here, this where it says Mark Harvard. If you notice, that's the red that's in our church visuals sign up here. Um, that's on purpose. Those are all colors in your company's branding, your church's branding. If you've got a dark blue um, logo with your church, then you're going to want colors that either are that color or colors that accentuate that color, a part of that part of the color wheel, to be accent colors, inverse colors, that sort of thing. Both of these will allow you to set that up within their programs. Um, Video editing is actually a part of these part of these programs as well. It's there. It's very basic, but if that's all you've got, then maybe we come down here. We'll say video on Adobe Express. I'll let you see that. You come down here, Adobe Express. I clicked video. Here is what I did. Um, and you can choose different things. Say you want to do an Instagram reel. You can come down here, browse some templates, and it gives you a little timeline here. You upload your scene, and it goes from there. Um, Very basic stuff. The templates are okay on both of them, but maybe you may want to get somebody that actually knows a little more about editing that can bring it into a DaVinci or a Final Cut Pro or a Premiere if you're wanting something that's a little more complicated than just, hey, take this and post it. Because I think that's where most of that's going to end up going. Very basic stuff on both programs. Usability, both pretty easy to pick up, but Canva has less of a learning curve. So keep that in mind. Maybe the person you've got involved in your church's branding, maybe the person you've got involved in your church's graphic design, maybe they are more comfortable with being able to work with a computer, and maybe in graphic stuff, maybe they have a little bit of a background, and this is just a tool to speed them up. Well, if that's the case, Adobe Express might be the better way to go. Before we end, let's look at the big deciding factor: price. Because Canva can be less expensive. And I say can, not is, because it depends on how many people within your church you want to have access to this program. If you're doing 5 users, you, the pastor, it's you, the pastor, choir director, youth person, yeah, apparently, yeah, youth person, and I don't know, kitchen staff. I don't know. 5 people. If you do a team then Canva is less expensive. It's $50 a month for 5 users, which is slightly cheaper. I'm sorry, that's not actually correct. 5 users is $29 a month for 5 users of Canva. But if it's just one person, Adobe Express is actually cheaper than Canva. So think about that. If it's just little you doing it, Adobe Express is going to be a little cheaper, and it comes with the Adobe Premiere Rush and Photoshop Express as well. So you get three kind of basic programs on it for the price of one there. So take that into consideration. So when it comes down to it, which is better? Well, for that, you've got to look at your church's individual needs. You've got to look at who's going to be using it. You've got to look at who is going to be handling it every day, how many people you're going to need to handle it every day, and what the exact needs are. There's a lot of overlap in these two. In Adobe Express and in Canva, you can do a lot of things. It allows you to manipulate the content you would get from church visuals very easily. It's a quick import and off you go. You can add titles, you can add graphics, you can add logos, all those things right there in those programs here. So I think for overall usability, and because it's mainly because the learning curve is so much less, I'd say Canva. I'd say Canva wins this one. As far as overall capability, I would say Adobe Express. So you have to stop and think, at what level is my church? Do we want easy adaptation, or do we want to really be able to have this stick around, learn this, have it where it can stick around and be used for a long, long time? So that's Versus. And don't forget, we're always here for you here at Church Visuals. We're always here for you, and we'll help you out as far as that goes. You can jump on churchvisuals.com. You can get all kinds of different content, ready-made content, custom content, social media, all that stuff, all the visual parts of your ministry to help you better spread the gospel as a part of your church. We are a part of that with you. If you're watching here on YouTube, I'm happy that you came along. Be sure to, I guess, like and follow the channel. If you're watching as a part of our Facebook group, then don't forget, like this as well, and invite other ministry leaders into this group. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up here. So until next time, my name is Mark Harvard, and thanks for watching this episode of Versus.